Well, good evening, everyone. Stan here. Time for another hour or so of improv cartooning on Random Encounters. This is where we start off, we being really me, start off with a couple of random encounter tables, like the kind you find in games like Dungeons and Dragons, other tabletop role playing games. And I use a die rolling app to select a rolling off my tongue tonight, isn't it? To select a subject, usually a creature from fantasy or an adventuring, something you'd see in a fantasy or sci-fi um, book or game or movie, and then an activity. All of our activities this week are kind of Halloween related, Halloween season related at any rate. Because I can't believe it. We're here already at the end of October. By the time the next show rolls around, it'll be November. So, got to get these out of the way now. Otherwise, they go back in the trunk until next October. Uh, I'm happy to see everyone back again. Always pleased to have a an audience. Always pleased to have you join in. As I say, I'm doing this. It's fun. It's improv cartooning. I don't know what I'm going to draw until the dice tell me, and as they show me what's going on, I also come to you, the audience, to help me figure out exactly what that means and kind of pick up uh, fine tune it. So you're a participatory part. You're part of the show, is what I'm saying, and I'm happy to have you here. Hi, Owen. Glad you could make it. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're feeling good. Um, yeah, I've explained it now. Not well, but I've explained it. And we're going to do three drawings as we usually do. So let's just dive right in. Why don't we? I'm going to come on over here and switch over to the view where you can see what's going on my iPad. I do all of my drawings on an iPad Pro using the Apple Pencil, and the app Procreate. None of this is sponsored. None of them have given me anything, though of course I am open to that. If anyone from either of those companies wants to drop me a line, we'll figure something out. Hey, Dave. Glad to see you. Hope you and some other of the Lemon contingent are there on the couch enjoying the show. So let's go. This is what we got this week for our who's and our what's. I'm going to use my die rolling app to select a who and select a what and see where that gets us. So let's come over here to the die rolling app and come on. Going to be one of those nights. It already started. It started out as one of those nights. I was getting ready for the show, and I just was having a whole bunch of communication issues between my tech. So I got my fingers crossed that I have that all sorted out now. If not, we'll figure it out as time goes. So let's go. Roll a die. Here we go. Roll a die. Once, twice, third time. We got a 2. Our first who is a treant. A treant, for those of you that don't know, is just the same as an ent in Lord of the Rings, or a one of those apple trees from the Wizard of Oz. It's a tree-like creature. It looks just like a tree, but it's got a face and arms and legs and can move around. It's called a treant. That's our first who. What's our what? Our first what? Once, twice, third time. Also a 2. Very curious. A treant going trick-or-treating. Treant. Not not how so you're more of a tree ant? You're a tree ant, not a treant. Treant. They're all make-believe creatures. Hello, Dale. Hello, Cindy. Welcome. So we've got a treant or a treant, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and it's going trick or treating. That's our first thing. So I guess the first bit of input I could use from you, my friends, is what the treant. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm not going to say it the same way twice. Uh, should have as a costume. You're going to go trick or treating. They can't just um, go as themselves. I'm a deciduous tree. My costume is an evergreen. That's funny, but I'm not immediately getting a visual cue that makes me um, go crazy. So let's just start by getting a rough tree shape here. We got a tree now. Tree's got to be carrying a trick or treat bag, so we can put that in. I could move it over a little so I can have it next to a house. And someone standing on the door who's got the bowl of candy. Let's see, both arms will be out so we can have an open bag. Like that. Trent. That's how you say it, Trent? Like there's no diphthong at all? Dale says this creature's word, Trent. Atomic mushroom cloud, Superman. I like the idea. You know what? Of the ideas that we've seen so far, Superman is the one that's most appealing to me. Just the idea of this tree dressing up as, a normal um, uh, thing that anyone else would. Superman. Owen. So we're back to the discussion on the pronunciation. Owen always says tree ent, treent, 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 treent. Think I think treant is probably closest to how I would normally say it. I don't know why I said treant before. I guess I say it that way sometimes because I wasn't doing it on purpose. But well, I think treant. So I do have two vowel sounds when I say it. It's my costume. I'm actually a halfling. Like truant, but more tree, says Owen. Okay, all right. I, I, I get that. I think I'm gonna have a squirrel standing on his arm with its own little bag. All right, all right. We're still trying to figure out exactly what we're gonna do for a costume here. Now, I mean, I could the Superman costume. Like, I could just put a cape on him and an S there. That says I'm posh for saying it that way. Triant, Yes, well, on the good side of town, the Triants often come over for tea. Um, I don't know if this is making much sense to folks, but it's looking good to me. All right. Um, I don't know. Superman, we could give him like a clown's nose and spray paint his face, make him a clown. Um, Hello, Carrie. Welcome to the show. Dave says it's almost as if certain it was almost certainly in order to get around the Tolkien estate litigation. So probably Ent is the end regardless. Could be, could be. I mean, certainly yes. Not calling them Ents is about not tripping over the Tolkien estate. There's certainly no doubt about that. Um, but that hasn't always played out. My in my experience talking with the folks who were there at the time, who almost always have a funny story to go along with it. It's very rarely what I think it would be, or makes complete logical sense, or how you'd figure it out left to your own devices. Okay, I think I think we're just gonna go with the Superman outfit. It works. I like how the cape on the back of the tree kind of looks. I think that if I was doing this and in a less quick way, because we're trying to get three drawings done here in a relatively short amount of time, um, and I'm already eating up a lot of time with this. Okay, forget it. Forget all the thinking. Stop thinking. Start with the doing. Um, all right, I am gonna do it, and I'm gonna start. As I always say, you start with lines you're confident about, and I am confident about these eyes. So we'll start there. Yeah, so there's always a story to be told about things like this in the history of D&D, as opposed to the and how it interacts with other things like the Tolkien estate. And I want to have the bag there like this. And we're going to have the other hand over here. Like so. I guess we could have big puffed up muscles, like a how you put that on if you were wearing a super, or if I were wearing a Superman costume, since I don't have big muscly arms. Here we go. Let's say if I was doing this as a more carefully rendered version, I like a lot of the ideas we've been playing around with that are just a little difficult to execute. It's another thing that's very different in different versions of the treants is what their lower bodies and legs look like. because they are definitely mobile. There were, I'm going to just take a quick aside to do, there were some versions of D&D where treants had longish legs like that, and then big tree bodies, and then others where they look more like what I'm doing, where if they stand still, they look like they just have normal tree-like root. You might not know that you were looking at a treant. I've gotten myself into a spot where I can't say the word. The second I start to say it, my brain starts throwing four different pronunciations at me. All right, but I don't want to get hung up. I don't want to spend an hour and a half worrying over how to pronounce treant. There, I just said it. La, like that. And la, treant. Treant. Glad this doesn't happen a lot. Treant, treant, treant. Someone just, I see we've got some new people who've entered the chat. I haven't had a chance to look up and see who it is, but don't worry, I'm not having a mental breakdown. We just had some uncertainty at the beginning on how to pronounce the name of this creature, and my brain is continuing to throw uncertainty at me. All right, there we go. And then on the treant, we're going to have a little squirrel. Also holding out a little bag. Notice how I'm really not worried about what the squirrel is dressed as. I'm just giving him a little suit and a mask. I think now we've got Superman like, oh, if I made him Robin, I could have made the treant Batman. But I'm not going back and changing that. No, sir. We're already had too much squandered time in this drawing already. And then we're going to come in to our homeowner, who is just as confused as I am, maybe more so. With a bowl full of candy to share with everyone. I was going to have steps on this, but I've drawn my homeowner so large that his porch has become just a little stoop, little steppy stoop. All right. That's all right. This is, despite my own confusion and making it more difficult than it needed to be, this is turning out all right. I don't know why I definitely need to make this house this complicated. That seems like a weird choice. A lot of times when you're doing these drawings, just do stuff because it amuses you. And that's a good enough reason. I don't need a better reason than that. It amuses me to make it so. So now that I've already struggled through all of this on my end, how are you all doing? What are you getting ready for some Halloween? You gonna? Anyone here have trick or treating plans with themselves or their kids? Any costume plans for some parties? All right, so we've got a treant and a little squirrel trick or treating. Let's very quickly put some color on this. Go back and go to the gloaming brush that I like so much. Suppose the treant is probably in a pretty good place come Halloween time because the leaves should be changing colors, but I'm not going to represent that. I've already gotten myself in enough trouble. Well, that goes with Owen's suggestion earlier about highlighting the deciduous versus evergreen aspects. Just going to add some extra secondary color to give it a little more leafiness. Lower the brush size and come in here and cover the trunk. Like so. Good. I want to come in and add some extra dark colors on there, maybe even some light colors in some areas to just mix it up a bit, but that's looking good for the start. In fact, let's do that now. Let's come back and darker brown. Oops. Some weird things happen when you're working digitally where the somehow what you've done is misread by the touch screen, and you get things like that weird slash of color coming out. There's no reason for that. I didn't move my arm that way, but the way I placed my hands and I was moving my wrist just confused the computer. Thankfully, very easy to hit undo. And then we're going to have a gray squirrel. Where I grew up, almost all the squirrels were gray. Right? That was just how it was. Um, since moved around to different places where we've got red squirrels and black squirrels and squirrels of lots of different colors. Given a choice, I will almost always make a squirrel just a plain gray. I don't like that color. Too close to the tree. Go. Again, maybe the thing I demonstrate the most is making quick choices when you're doing drawing work like this, right? Don't fret over it. Just think about it and give it a try. And if it's not what you want, undo it and keep going. All right, so let's get our homeowner in here. We'll pick kind of color like that for the candy. And just very quick now, I did these house details because it amused me, but now that I'm doing coloring, I'm thinking, why did I do that? I gotta color those things. Oh well. House color. Well, let's just give it a purplish color. Who lives in a purple house? This guy does. Maybe he spray painted it for Halloween. Quick, quick, quick! I'm already feeling my own pressure because I don't want to spend all night on this drawing. Oh, too many other drawings to get done. Here we go. All right, so we got a treant and his squirrel friend trick or treating. Da da ba ba doop boop. And I'm going to come back here, switch pens to my inking pen again. And I'm going to put my little stand on it. A treant, treant, trick or treating. I dig it. All right, well, let's hold on here. Let me stop and take a little drink. I've been talking a lot and talking to myself in circles and see who's here because I see that Lala has joined us. Hello, Lala. Welcome back. Uh, you were on a big trip. You were in the States for the ECAM camp in Boston. I hope you had a good time at that. I'm going to fade these colors back just a little bit. 15%. Because they were starting to look a little too strong. There we go. Good. Lala says, everyone is loving the mural I create. Oh, I'm very glad. I did. Lala has a crafting space, a crafting and social space that she runs, and she asked me very kindly to do a piece, a mural, a drawing of her that could be made into a mural and put on the wall in there. Apparently, everyone there likes it, and that makes me happy. Squirrel should be in the Batman costume. Well, yeah, that's a good idea, Owen. If I had been looking down and seeing what you were saying, that would be it. I'm resisting the urge right now to go back and put the squirrel in a Batman costume. I think Robin with Superman would be awesome. Not Secret Squirrel. Secret Squirrel would be great. no one would get it. That would be a great joke for you and me, Lem, and the three other people in the world. Maybe Owen's one of them. Maybe we have three of the five people that would get that joke here in the room right now. The homeowner looks like Gargamel. A little. Yeah, unintentionally, but yeah, I can see that. Trick or treat might happen finally again for us this year. Oh, good, good. I hope it does, at least in some form. I think the around here, it came back slowly. It's still not, I think, as big back to what it was in the before times, as we sometimes say, but um, it's back to some extent. Oh, let's see what else. Linnea, hello, Linnea. Get to type your own comments. Yes, welcome. I'm glad that you don't have to just sit silently in the background anymore. There is a super squirrel from Earth's Yes. There's also the squirrel-ish member of the Green Lantern Corps. Carrie is in the emergency department right now. Well, I hope that you're paying more attention to your patients than to me. But, I understand you need a break every once in a while. So come on and join it. We're fully decorated. We'll have full-size candy bars. Okay, so anyone who's in Owen's neighborhood, they've got full-size candy bars. You know where to stop. Let's see. Gira Cygnus. Hey, welcome. First-time visitor that I know of. Welcome to the show. I have a costume, but I missed my opportunity to wear it. I hate when that happens. Well, you still have this whole weekend to find another opportunity. So I encourage you to do that. And even if you do it just for fun, right? Sometimes you just put the costume on for yourself. Happy Wolfart says, piece of trade, any secret trick-or-treat trade drawing cartoony houses and architecture? No. It's... architecture and machinery are two things that I continue to struggle with, and the way my secret is I find pictures of ones that I like and I just draw them for fun, to doodle them, and try to break down. So here, the secret to everything for me is understanding the shapes that make it up, and then once you understand the shapes that make a creature or a thing, an item or a thing or a place up, you can then play with exaggerating or morphing it and doing things that will still feel right. If you don't understand the underlying shape structure, then when you change the shapes, you don't account for like when I draw a car, I don't really do cars well, because to me I'm still thinking on the level of a Pinewood Derby rectangle, right? And working off that, and most cars don't have that basic shape, and uh, not anymore. So I struggle to do automobiles or vehicles or modern vehicles of any sort, because I don't intuitively get the shapes. For people, for creatures, particularly bipedal creatures, I understand the basic structure of how they are, so I can deform them in all sorts of ways and know that by making this longer, I need to make this shorter, or I need to the things I need to do to keep them feeling related in the right way. So my best suggestion for learning to do anything is to understand to practice and understand its basic shape, and then practice playing around with it. Right, castles, and I do castles okay because I've spent some time drawing them in the past. I've been spending a lot of time recently looking at kind of 19th century structures. Uh, I want to be able to very naturally play around with designing a house that has that old kind of Adams family Victorian mansion creepy old house on the corner, haunted house look, and that's the basic structure. I've also been looking at some uh, older, some 15th century European architecture because I want to be able to put together very quickly little background shapes, little background scenes for fantasy, and I like that basic structure for buildings in a fantasy world. But I haven't gotten them yet. Modern houses are maybe easier because we see them all the time, but once you start drawing them and you realize you don't really understand what it is that how when do you have a roof sloped or shaped a certain way and when do you have it another? The only way to know that is to specifically look and specifically practice. So there you go. That's my advice. Not didn't know I was going to be doing an art suggestion, but I'm always happy to. I'm happy to share my thoughts. But the problem is that I can't answer your question other than tell you how I would solve it for myself. All right, let's go. La da 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 trick or treat. Let's see. I'm catching up. I'm catching up here in the chat. Um, Owen would in fact get the secret squirrel joke. Good. I'm glad. Uh, and Lala, thank you for reminding everyone. Please smash the like button. Give me a thumbs up or a heart or a like, whatever your is the appropriate thing on the site you're watching me on. It definitely helps me out. Definitely helps me get other people aware of what's going on, get it shared, so we can have more people here in the chat with us. And speaking of that, I've caught up with what it says in the chat, and it's time to start another drawing. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to close out round one, and I'm going to open up round two. And go to that sketch layer, set my colors the way I want them, and then we're going to go over to the tables, turn the tables back on. We've had our treat doing trick or treat. Let's get another subject. So we'll go back to the die roller, and once, twice, third time. A 6 is our 6 is adventurers. We know that. I know that. I said it that way, so anytime that comes up, that means we've got a wide choice. And again, going to be looking to you guys for some help figuring out exactly how we're going to interpret that. All right, so for our what, we've got a once, twice, a third time, a 1. A 6 and a 1. So adventurer is number 6. 1 is bobbing for apples. So we've got some kind of adventurer bobbing for apples. So you're saying they're thinking of wearing a costume when going grocery shopping tomorrow. I fully endorse that idea. I love that idea. I hope that you feel comfortable, and I hope you do that. All right, so we got bobbing for apples and adventurer of some sort. Now we know that no matter what, Dale's going to suggest a gnome, but we're going to leave this open. Druids have an unfair advantage. I guess sea elves have a really unfair advantage. Marcus is here. Welcome, Marcus, and thank you for smashing the button, just like I did for you earlier today. See, one good turn deserves. Wow. I need to just take a break from talking for a second. I'm running my mouth faster than my brain can keep up. Let me just see. Owen says Apple Bucket should be a mimic. Science says Bob for apples, not a trap. Owen, I really like that idea. I I'm gonna I'm gonna go with that. So we're gonna have just kind of for our starting stake. We're gonna have the thing. We're gonna have a couple of adventures. So here again, I mean, just kind of to go back to what I was talking about. So I know that people, whether short or tall, I've got a are in my style of drawing. They've got their heads. They've got a body. Now, how I position that is going to depend a lot on what I want their body to convey, what posture I want them to have. It can be like that, like here, where they're kind of shocked, they're sad, they're shocked. It might go like that. If they're running, right? But in the very least, they've all got that middle section, which is like almost like a flexible rectangle, and then we've got legs and arms. And knowing that, I can make a tall one, or I can make a small one next to it. I can make a very wide one, but it's all knowing the basic shapes. Because I know, because a lot of what I do is character based, creature based, I can do that very easily. And going back to our conversation earlier, because I don't do, my thing is not doing backgrounds and cityscapes. I'm not a technical uh, artist in that regard. I have trouble. All right, so here you see we've got our doing there. They've got that posture because they're supposed to look surprised. Now over here, we're gonna have a thing, and how am I gonna do this? I know the gag is. I'm just trying to visually figure out how I'm gonna get that sign in there. I think I'm going to grab this and move it. Maybe make it a little bigger. Yeah. And then we'll just stick the sign on the side, or maybe a signboard there. And then to really kind of lay it out, we'll give the mimics an eye on this side. Think. Just trying to figure it out. If this is the mimic's mouth, so the eye would probably be going. I know it's fantasy creature. I can do whatever I want, but just want it. Again, it has to feel right. And that starts with feeling right to me. All right, and then all right, and then now, and sometimes I do like I. Let me undo what I just did. So right here is what I drew originally, just loosely, but because of the way those circles came together, this is looking like a beard to me. So I'm going to give the guy a beard. I'm going to have this character have a beard, and it's another thing that um, everyone should practice when they're in your drawing is be open to ideas. The sketchy part is not just creating, laying down what you definitely know you're going to do. Maybe I was putting him in armor, but I'm beginning to think that maybe he's more of a wizardy. sorcery kind of character. Right? You're putting sketches down because you have a loose idea of what you want to do, and let the a lot of happy accidents, as uh, Bob Ross likes to say, liked to say in his show, happy accidents happen. You let the what you put there uh, show you something you didn't know was there. Let's see, we'll make this guy like a necromancer. That way, don't need to worry much about the feet. Over here, maybe I have on very rare occasions. Usually, when I draw a halfling or a gnome, they are um, rogues, or they're sneaky kind of characters. I think that I'm going to draw this one as a warrior class of some sort. Make it a martial class, a military class. Give them their sword. I have to. Go. There we go. All right, that's plenty good. And we're now going to come in, and I'm going to stop for a second and see what folks have said. But we've got our layout of adventurers bobbing for apples, or not bobbing because they're smart. But you never know. It's I mean, again, thinking more. If I were to do this again, I might have one of them here getting ready to bob. We'll see. I'm not sure I'm going to put that in. It's a little harder at this angle, right? If normally, again, I'm going to zoom in and show you. Normally, if I was doing bobbing for apples, it's easier to come at it from the side than, because once you switch over to looking at it like we're now head on, right? I can't really show most of what's going on, particularly since I want there to be more details here. Everything's got to be conveyed in that shoulders and balance and face, and I'm not sure I like that. But I won't make that decision just yet. There's a lot that needs to get done on this piece. So here we go. No, I certainly already know that I need to clear that off because I put it on the wrong layer. So goodbye. Here we go. Yes, Marcus, I really appreciate that you're here, but it's super late where you are. If you need to go get some rest, I highly encourage you to do that. My friend, I thank you for coming. It's always good to see you, and you are welcome to stay as long as you want. But, for goodness sake, man, you had a busy day and evening. For those who don't know, I may have mentioned this before when he was visiting. Marcus has a really good live stream and podcast that you should check out. Uh, Marcus, if you're still here, or Lala, if you want, feel free to put a little link, little advert for yourself. So folks can know where to go. Marcus does a show about doing live streaming and doing shows like this, and what you think and how you get it done. And it's I say it's very good. He's a very good host. It's a very good show, and I highly recommend it. Here we go. Put this little sign out here. It says Bob for apples. Definitely not a trap. And put that there. Again, just to get that sense of depth, I'm going to put some shadowy lines back there. Looking good. And now we'll draw our adventurers. Our wizardly character here is dubious. And rightly so. Again, I guess to follow on the the thing I was talking about before, I mean, having put in the basic shapes, you then can play around things a little bit if you like in the execution, because you can always come back and recognize it. The basic shape is where it needs to come back to. And a lot of this, I admit, I understand it's not as easy as I say it is, right? But it comes with practice. It's not as easy as I say it is, but it's not as hard as some of you may be thinking either. It's and the main difference is practice. Once you've done something, a lot of times, you just familiarity grows. All right. like that beard, and that allows you to do things like that. Like I there's no reason that uh, the only thing that told me that I didn't like that beard was experience from having done it before, and I knew that it was not going to play out the way I wanted it to. And until you've drawn something, until you've done the drawings dozens or hundreds of times, you're just you just have to make the mistakes, and it's okay. You make the mistakes so that in the future you'll know not to make them. And like we've been saying a lot in various uh, videos and meetings here, the main thing is that you have fun with it. If it doesn't come out exactly the way you want, well, it's a kind of a, it's a little sad, but it's not going to hurt you any. And you know what? The thing is, the next time you do it, it's going to come out better. I was looking at someone else on my feed today had uh, an inspirational meme that said you can't that was going off the concept of you can't fly if you haven't fallen. No one's going to get it right the first time, and so if you're going to fly, you've got to have tried and failed and fallen. So you can't do this. You can't do this drawing without having done it wrong in the past. So get the wrong drawings out of the way so you can do the right ones. And let me tell you just from my own experience, I'm still always doing wrong ones. Uh, any one of these lines you see me change, that means that I didn't do what I wanted to right there. I just recognized it quickly. All right, there we go. I think. All right, I'm going to turn the sketch layer off so I can look at this and see where I want to add some extra lines to shore this up. Or maybe remove some. Okay. Looking pretty good. Like so. Have Bob for apples. Definitely not a trap. That's still very funny to me. Owen, you crack me up. The spellcaster does look a little like Ming the Merciless. I was gonna have that be a skull on his head, on his chest, not an eyeball. I made him look a little bit like Ming the Merciless because I want him to have a necromancery kind of look. Now, rather than saying he looks like Ming the Merciless, I'm going to say he looks like Max von Sydow. All right, that's enough there. Let's come in and put some quick color on that. So um, for our mimic, we need it to look like I want it to look like a steel bucket, so it's kind of a blue-gray. But then I also want the teeth. This mimic just isn't doing a great job of it. Mimic must be very hungry. And then we're going to come for a deeper blue for the water inside. And a nicer red, a more pleasant red for our apples floating in there. Maybe a little kind of yellowish tinge on the teeth so they seem kind of dirty and icky. Let's see. Now, to avoid him looking too much like Ming the Merciless here, I think we're gonna not make his outfit red. um, maybe a green, maybe a dark green color. And then orange. No, that's not a good color. Maybe something in a powerful purple. Kind of like I did with the cape in the other drawing. I'm just going to put a darker color back there. Use that same color for the shoes. And I don't know. Should I give him like a greenish tint to his skin? That dark is not dark enough. There we go. I think we want that color for the beard. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. All right, and our halfling warrior over here. And we're going to come back to that same kind of bluish gray, but a more gray version of it for parts of the armor. Darker versions of that here for other parts of the armor. Like so. And there's an in-between color here for the main chest. That's looking pretty good. Wow, I didn't expect that to come out quite as well as it did. Sometimes that's, again, it just, you have enough practice doing it, you can inadvertently pull out something that looks better than you expected. All right, and then we just need to put a color on the sign. Like so. And we have some adventurers bobbing for apples. Oh, you know what? I want to add a little, just a little more here. Just a little bit of highlighting again to, not like that, to pull it out, give it a little sense of depth. And the way I'm getting these highlighting colors is I'm going and I'm using the tool that lets you choose a color. This, come on, pop up again, little circle thing. Come on, circle. Circle. You hang it over and it goes on that color. And that way, when you come back here, when you change it, the left half stays the color you picked. Then you can pick a shadow color that goes along well with it. That's usually down and a little to the right or left, depending on where you are on the circle. And you'll get a color that is similar enough to make a good shadow. So again, use the circle to pick it, pull it down, and a little to the right in this case. I'll give you a good color, and we've got a nice shadow green. Be a little darker. There we go. Again, somehow, look at that. See that straight line there? It's another one. I didn't put that in. You saw me? You saw me? I didn't put that in. But when you're working quickly, sometimes the machine thinks it sees something that's not there. And if you don't catch it the minute it happens, well, you just got to fix it. There we go. All right, now I'm happy. I'm happy. So I'm going to go back to the line slayer. I'm going to go back to my inking pen. And I'm going to put a little stand on there. And we've got adventurers bobbing for apples. or not. All right, very good, very good, and good suggestion from Owen. Owen gets the uh, not poisoned apple. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here. Lala asks, "Is bobbing for apples a usual activity during Halloween?" It is. It's an autumn. It's an autumnal activity because that's when the apples are ripe and are being picked, and so this it's a party game that is associated with the autumn and is often done at Halloween parties. Um, Alana says she has to go to take her daughter to school. Well, please, I'm so happy you stopped in. Have a. I hope you get there okay. And yeah, pop in to sumo if you have the chance too. Sumo show is tomorrow night, but that's a that's a different thing. I think my audiences between the sumo show and this are uh, not always they don't always overlap as much. Although a lot of the people here in this particular crowd are also sumo people, so maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe the my drawing crowd and my sumo crowd are the same people. Let's see. There we go. All right, so that's our finished piece there. Woo! Who says wouldn't want to go near that tub? Yeah, well, it's bad mimic. The good mimics make things you do want to go near. Uh, Owen only ingests medically prescribed poison, and that is a wise stance to take. And I know that you're doing a bit of that recently, so yeah. Okay, so that's two. Let's do one more. Normally at this point I might pause, but things have gone so quickly. I gotta just dive in, or this show is gonna uh, I'm gonna push even your kind patience. So we're going to come here, and we're gonna turn off round two, turn on round three, and we're gonna turn on the tables for one more crack at a random encounter. So we'll go to our die roller, and once, twice, third time. One. Did we do? No, one was bobbing for apples. One for the Who, and one, two, three. Well, we know we can't have one bobbing for apples. Let's go back and look at this. We have a dragon and bobbing for apples, but I don't want to do two bobbing for apples. So, once again, I'm going to turn to you, my fine audience, and say what should we have the dragon doing? Now, it can be something from this list. Look there, and if you want to pick off there again, or we can pick something completely different. That's why I have the bonus board as just suggestions, but it could be anything. In fact, for having the bonus board, I think in the past 27 weeks, is it now, that we've been doing the show? I've only actually used something from the bonus board once. It's just kind of a springboard. We can have anything. We got a dragon, and we'd like to keep it in the Halloween spirit, as it were. Can I get one for the ER? Dragon offended by dragon costumes. That's I'm thinking about that, but I think that unless something really occurs to me, that's more of an in-depth message than a quick one-panel cartoon is likely to carry. A dragon making s'mores. Okay. All right. I'm pondering on that. A dragon. Uh, mm, UFOs are real. Let's see. I'm gonna close this off, so we're just gonna leave it open for thinking. Now, got the pen and the color right. Let's see. We want a dragon. Um, Dragon flying alongside witches in a broom. I mean, that might just make a nice little. I like that. It'd probably just be one witch, but we could have it, you know, with a big moon in the background. Maybe that's asking too much of this sketch right now, but um, tell you what, I'm liking this dragon and the witch drawing, so we're gonna go with that. There were many good choices there. I'm only choosing this one because I can immediately think of a way to execute it. I love doing things that push me creatively to think about something I wouldn't have thought of before. But I'm at the point this evening where I've actually been doing some of that a lot all day, and my brain is not firing as quickly as it normally might. And so I'm happy to have an idea that works. And so we'll go with that. All right, looking good. And I guess the the challenge here is that although the dragon is the subject, I've put the witch in front, and therefore I probably need to draw the witch first. All right, so starting with lines I'm confident in, and that right now is the hat. I'm confident about that hat. Like the dragon's roasting s'mores sounds really good to me. I may visit that on another time. I may do that on a not on a show. Go. And we'll get the broomstick out there. Do that sort of looks like she's really sitting on the broomstick. I'll tell you one of the problems I've created for myself here. That's if I'm going to have the witch's outfit be actually black, then if I want the hat to do that, I'm going to need the whole witch costume to do that. And there we go. Which means that all those little interior lines have to be redrawn because they get lost. It's not really a problem. I mean, it's difficult. I guess it's an easily solved problem. Got to draw on with the. I have to add white lines to show where those folds had been. Maybe add a couple up here on the hat too. All right. Flying to the store to get more candy. Yes, I'm sure that's what they're doing. One of the things I like, kids do this all the time, and we, as grown-ups, often stop. And it's taking drawings, just a drawing of two creatures, or two people, or depending on what it is, two animals, and investing them with a story. It's just there's nothing. There's going to be nothing on this drawing that specifically says what these two are up to, but we'll know that they're going to the store for more candy. There we go. A lot of these details here. Again, that's the what you're doing when you're putting uh, sketches down is giving yourself little quickly drawn lines that you can draw ideas from. So I'm able to get this one done quickly because I've got there's a lot that those lines were hinting at to me. I think that the more you draw, the more you'll find that becomes true for you. You put something down, and you can see something in those lines that the average viewer doesn't see. All right, now we've got to get the wings on. And you'll also find that when you're doing drawings, if you don't spend enough time getting the rough ideas down on the paper, when you start drawing, you'll get to a point where you're no longer able to put a line down confidently. It's those uh, little hints of lines that give me the confidence that I want, that I need to get to make these drawings done quickly. When they aren't there, that's when I wind up putting a line down and erasing it and hemming and stopping in the middle of a drawing and hemming and hawing. All right, so we got that there. It's the one thing I did that I didn't really intend to. I'm going to take the lines off for a second so we can look at the sketch. Now we look back here and put the blue line on so I can point out something to you. I'd done this dragon here, and the dragon I put in some details on the legs that I wanted here, right? I wanted the dragon's leg to be there. But when I put on the lines now, you can see that my witch has now covered all of that. So we can't see the dragon's leg. And now I'm sitting here having that, just that, wow, I didn't plan this way, but I'm having to figure out what am I just not going to show the dragon's leg at all? That doesn't seem, and if I just leave it like this, it looks like the dragon has no back legs. So I'm going to have to figure out let's see, if I do it like that, then we've got it there. It doesn't really work perfectly with our dragon, but it works okay. Down here, well, the other dragon's arm to be visible. Okay, got it. Now I understand. I can go back and draw it. Yeah, don't be afraid to stop in the middle of a drawing if you feel you don't really understand what's going on the way you should. All right, I'm going to turn that sketch off again so we can look at it. And we see there now there's that hint of the dragon's legs, and it doesn't look like, oh, it's just flying around with one leg. The only arm we could see before was this one. Put the little hint of scales on our dragon. And the whole is looking pretty good. We've got a witch and a dragon. All right, so let's do some quick color for them. Our witch. very dark green hair. Lem says the Spider-Man problem. Are you talking about? Since I'm just looking up and noticing that, and I don't know when you wrote it. Are you talking about the where are the legs and arms? Because that is very often a problem when drawing Spider-Man. Oh, or which? Let's see. Wolf. Happy Wolf says, nice on the fly adjustment. Heh heh heh. I see what you did there. I appreciate the pun. Okay. All right, and then we got our dragon. Maybe we'll have a blue dragon. So often we make our dragons red. This time we're going to have a blue dragon. I didn't really talk about it when I did it, but you see over here on the claws, I made a little light little line. So I'm going to have the pads of the claws be the same color as the underbelly, just so we have a little color variation. There's something I'm sitting here thinking that one of these weeks I'm going to need to make a point of talking a little more about. I talk about using this gloaming brush to give this quick feeling of like a marker or a crayon, but there's more to it than that. There are things you need to think about when doing this kind of quick coloring, and I haven't talked about them much, so I need to make sure I do that. You know, I want those both to be lighter than that. There we go. Because I want the ridges on the back to be darker like that. Kind of deep in the game this week for me to start talking about the coloring thing I was just mentioning. Um, I'll try to remember to do that sometime in the next few weeks. Because it's the kind of thing that you can take, and whether or not you're going to be doing your own drawing, you can apply this when you are doing any kind of coloring, doing coloring in a coloring book or any kind of coloring for fun. There are just these couple of little tricks that make it easier to do things in this quick kind of, I'm going to say sloppy, but I don't mean it in a negative way. In this sloppy fashion, in this purposefully sloppy. The way you make it's the way you make it clear that it's not an accident. You've done this on purpose. And you get your audience to buy into it. All right, looking good there. We want to put just a little hint of gray on the horns. And maybe some light yellow in the eyes. There we go. And we've got our witch and our dragon flying in the sky. Now, we were thinking about the moon before. So I'm going to take these two layers. I'm going to grab everything. I'm going to lower them down on the page a little. So we've got more room behind it. I guess I probably should have, let's undo that because I want to bring the sketch with me too. Bring it lower on the page so I can turn the sketch back on. And go back to my sketch layer. I know it's late, but let's just put a little something in the background. We can put maybe a crescent moon. No, we want it to be able to be seen. Crescent moon over there. And clouds over here. All right. Wow. No, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That would be really good, but it's going to be about another 10 to 20 minutes to get that right. So I'm going to stop here. We're just going to say this looks good for a witch and a dragon flying through the night sky. Flying near each other. I like it. I'd have enjoyed that more complex version, but maybe I'll redo this whole drawing. Again, another one I might just redo in a more completed version. Let's come here to our lines layer, and we'll put a little stand in the bottom there and call this done. Right? You know what? But since we're not putting a background in, I'll grab the whole thing and maybe make them a little bigger on the page. Since there's nothing else that they're going to be competing with, we'll just let them take up the whole page. Dragon and witch flying in the night sky. There we go. That is our third drawing for the evening. I think it turned out pretty good. We had some fun. Oh, now I see Dave's talking the Spider-Man problem with Venom, the black costume problem. Yes, that that is the same kind of thing that you see all the time. So we had a dragon and a witch just flying together. That was our number three. Our number two was adventurers bobbing for apples. See, look at all these drawings. I would like to have put that background in the dragon drawing. I would have liked to have put another adventurer in here bobbing for apples in this drawing. And our first one was the tree and squirrel, and I would have liked to have gone back and made the squirrel Batman in this one. So all three of them finished drawings that leave you something to reach for in the future. Again, a very good lesson. When you need to get the drawings done, and when it's done, put it aside. If you want to do it again, do it again. It's much better, I think, to accept the drawing for what it's done, for what it is, and learn the lessons you've learned. And if you want to do something again, do it again rather than work it and rework it. Not let the drawing be finished when it wants to be finished. These drawings wanted to be finished. Anyway, so that's what we had for tonight. It's been another fine evening of. Oh, look how fuzzy I am. Oh, webcam. Gotta upgrade that. Yeah, it's been a fine evening of improv cartooning. Thank you very much for joining me. It's had a lovely time. And so many people showed up. Thank you to Dave, Linnea, and I presume Gus over there. The Lemons having fun in the living room on the couch. Hopefully, maybe you were drawing too while this was going on. Happy Wolfart, thank you for coming again. Always glad to see you. Owen, a pleasure, my friend, and thank you for the terrific idea with the mimic Apple thing. That was all you. Carrie, I hope things are going good in the ED. Thank you for stopping in and saying hi when you had a break. Who else is here? Lala was here. Thank you, Lala. Always a pleasure to see you. Look forward to hearing more about your trip to the U.S. Marcus also, thank you. Marcus also was in Boston for that event, and I, being here in Seattle, was not able to go meet up with them. Hopefully, the next time you folks get out to the U.S., I can manage to meet up and we can say hi in person. Is that everyone who's Dale and Cindy? Thank you for coming by. Thank you, Gira Cygnus. I don't know who you are, but I'm glad you were here. We'll be back again. I'll be back again next Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time for another hour and a little bit of improv cartooning on Random Encounters. Until then, I'm feeling blurry, so maybe it's time for me to go lie down. Have a happy Halloween, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye.